Alright guys, we're back. Something weird happened and our Facebook live feed went down. Sorry about that. Hopefully there's an audience building. Stephanie might be able to tell us what happened.
I'm not sure.
Are we back? Yeah, we're back. Sorry about that guys. So what I want to show you is you're coming down this road here. And we're just going to continue this. If you're just joining, I'm with Mekasi. We're touring the White Eagle Reservation of the Ponca Nation. And we're about 5 miles from this beautiful petroleum refinery, which you can see the smokestacks from right now. So we were just talking about the earthquakes that happen here, and how they're not deep earthquakes, they're near the surface and caused by the fracking and the injection wells that put the water back that's used for the fracking, if I'm understanding the science. The wastewater. And the wastewater is actually not coming from Oklahoma. The wastewater is coming from Arkansas, because they don't allow it in Arkansas, so they bring the waste here.
Yeah, so anytime that there's a frack, when they frack a well, they use...
So this is a well we're coming up on right now, yeah?
Yeah, that's one of the wells. We're going to drive down this road and I'm going to show you a couple of them up close.
Okay, cool.
But they use 3 to 8 million gallons of water per well that they frack. So there's a lot of waste that comes out of that, and a lot of dewatering that comes out of that. So if there's hundreds of wells being drilled in an area and they're using 3 to 8 million gallons of water per well, it dewaters that area. And not only does it suck the groundwater down and drain our wells, but it also contaminates what groundwater and what wells are left.
So has this always been so? Because I'm looking at this and this is quite a barren ground here, and it's very dry. I mean, you can tell it's dry just looking at the soil here.
Where we're at is between the Arkansas River, which is directly in front of us on that tree line.
Okay.
And we just came from the Salt Fork of the Arkansas River. So in between these two rivers, this is a real fertile river bottom land.
Well, it should be, huh?
The groundwater is only 8 feet from surface. That's very shallow. So any contaminations that happens from these wells goes directly into the groundwater, contaminating our springs and contaminating the water wells of the houses around here. So we checked this well with the infrared camera, and it's leaking methane gas. There's another well right here in front of us that's an older well. That's kind of some newer tanks, but it's still leaking. And what we need to do is call for stricter regulations on all oil wells and natural gas wells, because they are leaking and they are causing climate change. And the oil industry and the government is not doing anything to change it, to make it better.
So guys, as you're coming in, because the last live feed went down, we had nearly 300 people. If you guys can share this and get this out in some groups, we are coming at you from Ponca Nation in Oklahoma. And what we were talking about a little bit earlier before you came in was they had a very expensive camera come out with earthworks to look at these wells. So I'm going to jump out and walk around this one, if that's okay.
Yeah, hold your breath.
So they had earthworks come out to look at these wells, and what they did was they had this camera and it looks for methane leaks. And I'm just going to zoom out so you can actually see it. Sorry, we were zoomed in. So it looks for methane leaks, and when they came and looked at these wells, they went around 35 of them, and all 35 were leaking. So this is the story that people don't tell you. This is what this looks like when it's on your land. I mean, if you just look back, this just gives you an idea of size. You can see Mekasi. Ooh, as I fall down a hole. You can see Mekasi there, and I'll bring him in and let him kind of tell us more about what we're looking at here, because this isn't very pretty.
So this is one of the wells that's actually on our reservation, and there are hundreds and hundreds, if I don't know the exact number, but probably up in the numbers of closer to thousands of wells that are on the reservation and surround the reservation. Like Kevin was telling you, we had some women from Earthworks that brought an infrared camera that detects leaks and shows the leaks of the methane. This particular well we did check, and it was leaking from like 3 or 4 different areas here at this well that we're standing at. You can't see the methane gas and you can't smell the methane gas, but it is here, and it is damaging the environment, and it is causing respiratory problems for the people on the reservation. The clinic here is dealing with respiratory problems with infants all the way up to elders, and it doesn't, you know, it's something that we can't escape because it surrounds us, and everywhere the wind blows, it blows it into our lungs. So the people here are suffering with a lot of environmental stressors, and that's what we're going to show you today, is the environmental stressors around the Ponca Reservation. I call it environmental genocide, and we're also going to document the environmental racism by the city of Ponca City, by their zoning laws, and putting everything that's hazardous and contaminable out to the south side of town on where the reservation is.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we just look at this ground here, you said this ground's between 2 rivers. So if you were between 2 rivers, you'd expect this to be nice, green, fertile land, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And it's not. As you can see, this is just beautiful. It's beautiful countryside here, but you can see the smokestacks in the distance. I'd love to spend more time here, but we do have Aaron Brockovich later on, so we're going to continue this tour around. And as you're joining, if you can please share, and then I'll tell you a little story as we get back in here about last night when I checked in at the casino hotel, and I spoke to the girl at the reception about how bad it smelled coming into town, and she told me her father used to work at the refinery, and what he told her was, if it smells like rotten eggs, try not to breathe.
There's more wells down there.
And Miksay's just saying ahead of us, we're not going to see them, but there's a bunch more wells. So we're doing pretty much a whistle-stop tour around here. Yeah, and the diamond pipeline, you guys mentioned it in the comments. We will be following that story. We'll be talking more about that. But right now, what we want to do is look at this. Look at the Ponca Nation. Because tell people about the Ponca people. Tell them about your nation. Because a lot of people here probably have never heard of the Ponca Nation. And don't know your history.
Well, the Ponca people were originally from the southern part of South Dakota, the northern part of Nebraska. In 1876, we were forcefully removed and marched here to Oklahoma. My mother's grandfather was 8 years old during that forced removal, and he walked that 700 miles to be here in Oklahoma. 1/3 of the tribe perished on that walk, and within the first year of being here in the hot, dry country, as they call it. Our people weren't ready to come down here, didn't want to come down here, and never broke any treaties with the United States government, yet every treaty that they signed were broken by the United States government. Since that time, a lot has changed here in Oklahoma. There's 39 other indigenous nations, or excuse me, 38 other indigenous nations here in Oklahoma. Only 2 tribes in Oklahoma are indigenous to this territory. So what that means is that 37 other tribes were forcefully removed here. So essentially, Oklahoma, which was then Indian territory, was a big POW camp. The entire state of Oklahoma is a POW camp. There's 39 reservations here, 39 different tribes here in Oklahoma. So this is my area that I grew up on, that my people were placed on our POW camp called White Eagle, named after one of our chiefs. And we're going to talk about another one of the chiefs in a little bit. His name was Standing Bear, and he was very influential in gaining human rights for all Native Americans. And I'm going to show you Standing Bear Park and Standing Bear Memorial statue up here, and how they respected or disrespected one of our greatest chiefs and one of the greatest chiefs in American history as far as fighting for civil rights and human rights for Native Americans. So there's another well here on our left that we're passing. That well was leaking when we checked it, leaking methane gas from 3 or 4 different areas as well. There's another well to our right, actually 2 of them, and that's how the reservation is. It's just dotted with oil wells, oil and gas wells.
I mean, there's literally Yeah, they're literally everywhere, and they're not well kept either. I mean, if you look at these things, they're clearly rusty. They're clearly old.
There's no fence around them.
There's nothing to protect the kids from going and playing by them. I mean, they almost look like they're abandoned.
And these are directly across from houses.
So that's the well right here, and if I rotate through 180 degrees, right on the other side of the street is where someone lives.
And this is a tribal house. These are.
It's another.
So you're gonna see another well there.
Yep. There's literally wells everywhere. And for those of you that are just joining, if you could please share this out and let people know this is the Ponca Nation White Eagle Reservation, and where we're heading to now is the monument to Standing Bear. And I can tell from Mekasi's voice that he's very unhappy about how one of their greatest inspirations and leaders, monument, has been treated by the oil and fracking industry. So I'm not really looking forward to what I'm about to see, because I can tell that it's very troubling to my friend here. I can imagine what's happened.
So these are all tribal houses that we're going by. This is Ponca Indian Baptist Church. And we're going by here. Directly down that road is the Arkansas River. This is all our hunting grounds that we're driving past. Up and down this river, the river runs north and south. And on the west side is the on the east side of the reservation is the Arkansas River. That's our boundary. And then the Salt Fork of the Arkansas that runs through the center of our reservation and through the community. And these are our hunting grounds. A lot of people hunt and fish. There's lots of wild game, squirrel, turkeys, deer, rabbits, and fishing. So people supplement their diets with this wild game. But this refinery, the proximity of the refinery that's here, I was telling Kevin last night, we grew a community garden.
Was the community garden right?
The community garden was actually right over there.
Wow.
Not very far. And we grew a completely organic community garden, and the vegetables that came out of that garden went to our elder program, the Head Start program, and the diabetic program, as well as the rest of the community after those programs were taken care of. And we still had a lot of vegetables. It was almost a 12-acre garden, so it was huge. And we wanted to market those vegetables in town, but we couldn't market them. We found out, we didn't know, but we found out that they couldn't be marketed as organic because